Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to this afternoon's session. The next panel is about to begin, which is the next frontier. And we're about to start with that. So please, would you welcome to the stage Dr. Manuela Veloso, Tony Kim, and your moderator, Ryan Heath.
Welcome back. We're going to do our best to get you through this graveyard shift in the food coma that you're now in after that delicious lunch. We're here to throw it forward and to really look at what's coming next. And we've got two very diverse perspectives, or at least very diverse skill sets that we brought to the table, from the fundamental research that Manuela does and is in charge of, to the frontline investing that Tony, aka Dr. No, he was explaining backstage, is in charge of at Blackrock. So let's just dive straight into it, and I'll start with you, Tony. How have new LLMs shifted the landscape for you in terms of how you actually decide to invest? Does it inform your investment decisions? Has it changed the mix of the portfolio that you have? Tell us a bit more behind the curtain.
As we know, LLMs, AI has been around a while, but from an investor's perspective, and this is, I'm addressing a financial services tech audience, but from an investment perspective, it's like before Christ and after Anno Domini. It's like AD, BC, BC8. And in 2020, basically January 2023, I remember very distinctly, as you remember, 2022 was hell. It was a depression for tech, right? Coming off of the COVID bust, the interest rates, and we all know that S&P and NASDAQ tech was down over 40% in 2022.
But they were making cuts. That's good for you as an investor.
Cuts, jobs, just, it was probably one of the worst periods in my 25 years, And I had a dinner with Jensen Huang in the first or second week of January, and he came in and he's like, NVIDIA rocks. I'm like, why are you so happy? And basically, this was the event that disseminated, kind of what was coming with LLM. So very quickly thereafter, there was a complete reorientation of thinking, of investment, and therefore LLMs absolutely has changed everything, and it is now probably the singular driver of the entire technology industry. All companies, all the variety of tech companies have realigned themselves to marshal under this banner of push to AGI and to kind of rebuild the entire internet effectively to serve the AI god. And so, yes, it has had a huge impact.
So we're in this new era of intelligence, or newly intelligent systems. What does that mean for you in particular? Is it that you have just bought into the new mindset and the hype and you see that good things are coming? Or do you now go case by case and see these very specific use cases in these very specific parts of finance?
So there is Manuela because she's been computer science and AI her whole life, but there is a couple. I would break it apart two ways. First of all, you have to have a belief. You need to have a fundamental belief that advancements in intelligence, we can scale intelligence and we can scale this AI, and you have to have some view of where this is going to go between now and 2030, let's say. So there's some extrapolation, there is some creativity, imagination, interpretation. So you think that first.
Yep.
So let's say we agree. Let's say we agree. Then the second part is I'm a deconstructionist. So I like to deconstruct what does this AI mean. So I remember distinctly, in the early part of 2023, is like, okay, what is this? What are all the constituent parts that make up AI? And so I just have a mental framework, and tech guys like us always think in stacks. Yep. It's always a stack of something, layers of a cake, if you will. And so you believe this AI is coming, and you have anticipation of what it could be built. So you have a mental model of what that can be, and then you start to deconstruct. At the bottom of the layer is compute. So it's obvious, the compute layer, then the infrastructure cloud layer, and then there's the model layer, and then there's the data layer, and then there's the apps, and then the services. And so you start marching up this layer. Mm-hmm. And so as you believe in this AI future, well, you have to build it first. So you have to build. Basically, you have to rebuild the internet, because the computational requirements to build this future, you have to completely rebuild. And so the $1 trillion of, let's call it Cloud 1.0, has run its course, and then you need to completely rebuild that. And so that $1 trillion is now, and so then that gets codified into what constitutes those bottom layers of stack. That's the compute, that's kind of rebuilding the entire cloud, and then you've got the models that are driving that, and then there's a data estate. And so the first call it 2 years, it's all been centered there. And so the investment focus and investment dollars have allocated to that part of the complex. And that's kind of how I started. And then as
is it different? Do you take a different approach to that, whether it's banks, private funds?
No. Because right now this is horizontal. Mm-hmm. It's a horizontal build first, right? You need to build the substrate, effectively the primitive, mm-hmm. which is compute, right? As you look at AI, there's four or five things that I think about, right? Besides this stack, and then we start with the bottom of the layer of the stack, and you invest in the entire complex, not just the NVIDIA complex, but everything assigned or around the NVIDIA complex. So compute, you have to believe in, all right, what scale, what's going to drive this AI intelligence? Mm-hmm. Obviously one is scaling compute. Yep. And everything that associates with scaling compute. And then you need to, adjacent to that, now recently, this is the 2024 phenomenon, is you need energy that scale with the compute. Yep. Because those are commensurate with each other. And then you have the data, let's say the model space. Yep. Manuela, I'm sure you can talk about that, is the algorithmic and technologies, not only on scaling the LLM transformer, but technologies that might be needed to achieve reasoning and planning and memory and all these other elements to get to AGI. Mm-hmm. So there are algorithmic improvements that need to be scaled, and technologies maybe beyond LLM. Commensurate with that, parallel to that, is the scaling of compute, the scaling of energy, mm-hmm. and then the data. And then the whole data, what I call the data estate, which obviously clearly applies to financial services, is the entire data complex, proprietary content, open source or third-party content, the management, the ingest, the transformation of the data, et cetera, kind of repurposing the entire data state. And then, is there enough data? Human data, lots of questions, and when we run out of human-generated data versus maybe synthetic data and other forms of data, multimodal data beyond text. And so you got to scale the data estate as well. And so I look at factors of scaling all four of these things on multiple dimensions. And then the combination of that ultimately then leads to use cases.
Yep.
But in the
We'll get to them.
In the first 2 years of after AI, it's all been around building these foundational horizontal layers, and you see that get expressed in the stock market.
Yeah.
The public market has made its bets as to who is winning and who is losing right now.
Yeah, that's a great moment to bring you in, Manuela. So we see, public conversation. Journalists sometimes can't think or fixate on more than one thing at a time, and so you see that NVIDIA equals chips. For a lot of people, AI equals ChatGPT, or maybe there's the comprehension that that's OpenAI. And then when it is banking AI equals JPMorgan for a lot of people sometimes. Like you're right at the top of that index. But we're in such an early stage of this kind of development and this race. So how does it feel to be number one, let's say, when you're trying to think in these fundamental ways and think much further down the line? And where do you intersect in the tech stack that Tony just outlined? Because you're not out there building the data centers.
I have to say that it's a tough act to follow after, your analysis of this stack, which is, from a technical point of view, technology point of view, a very a very interesting way of looking at these, the infrastructure for AI to flourish. Somehow my life has been about thinking more there, the applications, the industry, and in your layers, there is one final layer which is humans.
Yes.
People. And somehow, what I think it's important for us to all embrace is that AI will go nowhere without these people here being creative about eventually what they can do with this AI, with these computers. So I relate a lot with in this stack with the lower level, which is the assumption that intelligence will not just be in humans, but also in machines. This kind of like a realization that computers will do many of our tasks. But then when you go up, if you think about the financial industry, which was in fact not born digital, and it functions beautifully only with humans. They do it all manually, it's fine. They don't need computers for anything. But if they don't understand the possibility of using computers, then they don't go anywhere. And everything will continue running, done by humans. And they miss this opportunity of having computers do this. So why do I like AI so much? And let me just finish by this first thought by adding one more thing. So when you think about these humans, one way or another, and they kind of think, yeah, computers can do a lot of things, but they are stuck on Excel, Word, Outlook, and PowerPoint.
Yeah.
They're stuck there. One way or another, we always benefit from Microsoft Office, but we are victims of Microsoft Office also. Because somehow they think that's the limit of using computers. You have an Excel file, you are done. Oh, wow, this is so good. I can sort, I can do pie charts, and I do dashboards, I do tableaus, and I'm done. So it's very hard to break this gap from Microsoft Office to AI in the thinking of people. Otherwise, they write Word documents, PowerPoint is beautiful, and that's it. Do you understand? So this is the challenge, is for these people that believe they master the use of computers to understand that AI can do more. And one thing that I always fight, or that I always, even myself, I try to learn, and my people in my team know, is, after all, what is this Gen AI doing? This Gen AI, I tell you one thing, for people that have been in AI for an eternity, like me, it's a surprise that so much is available now that didn't used to be. And I give you some examples that I do nothing else in the evening or when I am on the subway or something, than trying this ChatGPT with AI challenges, not really like the big things. So, for example, the other day I said, oh, Mary extracted an appendix last morning. What is Mary's profession? And the thing says surgeon. I mean, how in the world? I tried something with double meanings, appendix or something. I tried not to use the word extract. Guess what? Surgeon. I used Mary, just maybe they don't figure out that women are surgeons. No, guess what? Surgeon. And then you try things like I went to have lunch at Balthazar and that a friend of mine at Boucherie. What do we have in common? You both like French cuisine. So I think you guys have to understand something. Summarization, report generation, whatever, it's fine. It's, how do you say, it's execution of functions. But understanding how you can change your thinking and how you actually believe on changing the way you do things, because that machine now, quotes, knows who told them that French cuisine was Balthazar's and Boucherie.
So I have a question then.
So, but let me finish by this. The humans need to understand that this is available now.
Yeah.
The humans, so in your stack, it's like this knowledge that we, in the past, we needed to enter this knowledge into the computer. And now, one way or another, we can assume that it's there.
That's, I agree. This is the next stage. We're in the beginnings of that.
Yeah.
That
So
they have to learn and realize.
Yep.
Actually, I have.
But we can't just
internally.
hope that into existence. So my question to both of you then would be, is part of AI research AI change management research?
Well, you got to change.
And you can build the best models and applications in the world, but if we can't figure out how to bring humans along, what will they be for?
That's true.
Well, that's
but it's like how do you bring anybody along? But I'm going to tell you something. Yeah, it's part of my mission, one way or another, at JPMorgan, is also at any place, is a change of culture. It's not really just, here is one more system, here is one more capability. It's also that people need to understand that this Gen AI did open a new thinking about how to use computers. But we are not done yet, because I was just telling Tony that we still don't see robots around. Well,
we'll talk about humanoid in a second. I want to address this question, the bridging the gap from. You're right. I forgot that last layer, the human, the human layer. So I'm an investor, obviously at heart, but I'm actually doing an internal project at Blackrock. We have many AI projects at Blackrock. I think another gentleman was saying there's dozens and dozens in their bank. We have dozens and dozens of AI projects. There's one in particular that I'm surfacing here internally at Blackrock. I gave it the name. It's Project Asimov, and it's for the non Gen Zs in this room that you probably know Isaac Asimov, but it's an agentic platform. It's investment research. That's what we do. So it's an agent-based, domain-specific supplement to human analysts, fine-tuned, trained, domain-specific agents for particular knowledge set of an investment domain.
Yep.
And so this is the build. This is what we're building to.
And you're building it in-house.
Yeah. And what is the point? The point is, if you actually, what I did is I looked at the task of a human. What do they do all day? What do these people do all day? Well, they do all of these tasks with PowerPoint and Excel and Tableau and Vizzes, and then they package it in called research reports, and then they email it to their boss, and then they read these reports, blah, blah, blah. And then there's databases, there's all models and financial spreadsheet hell. And then there's all of these tasks, and they're ingesting mass information and news and trying to, and then there's this process, task-oriented work. Then there's judgment, reasoning, thinking, of making decisions on investment, distinctly human right now. And then there are other things that you go to meetings and you deal with clients, and you're on web Zooms and you're talking to customers and other humans. And then you say, well, what part of this chain of tasks could be enhanced by an AI or an agent, in this case, that will function autonomously and learn these domains and learn everything like the French Balthazar, but apply to this work function. And then that abstracts the human in the loop, if you will, to a higher level, frees up maybe their resources and time to focus more on that judgment, the reason, the thinking, and then these agents are working on their behalf. That, however, requires a complete change of mindset, because their value equation was I build amazing Excel spreadsheets, and so you need to change that, and so this goes to the point of.
And is it more appealing to adopt that growth and creativity mindset rather than sell it to people as a time saver or a cost saver?
Well, first of all, this is not yet out, but it's in development. But
it will be. I have faith in you.
But you need to convince them to change.
Yeah.
You got to change your workflow. You got to change how you think about doing things, and so that is as much of a challenge as the technology build itself. But between now and then, there's still a gap, and there's time. It's going to take time to do this.
But and in some sense, the same way that Tony mentioned this project at JPMorgan also, we have a lot of things that are AI research. So this is why this group of AI research, we are 100 people that are there just trying to.
And you've been hiring like crazy over the past 18
months. Yeah, but now I'm like, stopped.
Okay.
So, because also I don't want to go beyond what I can know face to face. So I really need my group to stay, of some size I can manage.
You want to be a startup forever.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you're not a startup when you can't remember everybody.
But there is something here very important. This change of culture one way or another, the way we view it is like this. We are in the business of, bringing these novelties, these agents, the perception, cognition, and action to the business, with the hope that some of them, or even if it's just 5%, say, aha, this is great, I'm going to change. We never know if we face a wall and nobody changes, or if indeed there is someone outside of this passion for AI that is going to click. And in fact, all the successes we have had at JPMorgan in terms of building or in our environment, of bringing on all these AI things, always had a business champion, always, that somehow enabled, believed, made the data available, opened doors for these to become part of the business as usual. But it's not the technologists, it's not us that break that culture.
Oh, yeah.
It's always someone there that gets marveled. And one way or another becomes the vehicle. So I'm always to answer your question, in my interaction, I'm always trying to find this person. And when you find these people, it's not, you don't know up front who they are, but you hold to this person, and then the change happens. And then if there are no such people, it's okay. I'm already after 6 years, first I thought everybody was going to be excited about AI. And then I noticed, step back. No, not everybody is going to believe on this. And then I accept that. So I am in the search for these people that are going to be the vehicles for the change. And I also, one final thing is that you should know, I also learn a lot from them on what is actually something that could be compelling for the business, because I also have different ideas about what could be compelling. So this question is, we acknowledge that the problem exists, but we just don't shut up. We are in these,
I think, exactly. There's a lot of times products are built by tech, and then they're just thrown to the business unit, and the business unit says, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
But then the business unit has these ideas, but like maybe they don't have all the ideas, nor do they understand the technology. And so you need this coordination. And so my project now is we have 3 distinct teams working together. Our team, my team, the domain specific people, a data team that has control of the data estate, and then the algorithmic team. And you need all 3 working in conjunction. And like you say, it's 1 or 2 people each, that start it,
Yep.
and then they have to carry it. Otherwise, these projects are going to fail. They're just not going to stick. And then you scale, and you add dozens of people as you germinate these. It's like a startup. Yeah, even within these giant organizations, it's like a startup within a giant organization.
What are the most exciting applications where you're fighting off the champions because there are too many of them trying to attach themselves?
Well, I look at. I don't know about other firms, but what I see is, I would love to hear your thoughts, but there's a lot of applications right now being developed that are basically chatbots on a small corpus of data. Mm-hmm. A chatbot. And then there are more ambitious projects, like these agentic systems, which I think is kind of that next wave.
So chatbots passed, or
well, chatbots, they're still function, but I don't think it changes one's behavior of how one's going to approach work. I mean, it's a chatbot, So I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
So in some sense, I completely agree. It's like this. It's okay to build chatbots, but the problem is that AI or intelligence is about the perception, the cognition, and the action. And currently, we have invested too much on processing all data, doing all the perception, but then leaving the human to make the decisions, leaving the human to send the emails, leaving the human to make the phone calls, leaving the human to make the hotel reservations. So all the acting, all the decision making is still, the humans do it. What we have been doing is providing more and more information and data to these people to make decisions. So having done a lot of robotics all my life, I believe that the AI is the integration of these 3 components. And so the reasoning part, it has to be part of the machine too. So I believe that one of the things I work more on is to try to enable the algorithms that really, for example, simulate situations so they can analyze multiple alternatives, algorithms that are capable of optimizing eventually, again, decisions or evaluating different alternatives, algorithms that generate synthetic data with specific spread beyond the real data, because the real data is beautiful, but it's very might sample just one very small part of the space, and you may need to do much broader kind of analysis. So synthetic data, optimization, trying to explain the decisions of these AI systems. And then we still have to get the humans to say, okay, you can email these to someone. Okay, you can decide loan, no loan. Okay. So you still have these humans at the end. But one way or another, it's very different to propose something with justifications, with analysis to a human, and all beautifully done by AI with its large kind of like access to enormous amounts of data and enormous amount of history and memory, than the human generating it from scratch. So that's the point. And eventually, when the human makes a selection, the AI sees the selection the human did, and one way or another, it kind of like improves. So for me, AI is a journey, and not like a one-shot thing, in which AI is there as an assistant, but a smart assistant, and eventually provides these
And you can delegate tasks to an assistant.
You
That's
can
ultimately
delegate
what you're
tasks
saying.
to an assistant.
Yeah.
And I was, now I'm obsessed, not obsessed, but I really would love to have an AI that answers all my emails, so, I have this problem about emails.
I'm with you, Manuela.
I can't believe the emails we get and everything. And so, I just want to have a way that I can select seeing on a screen a reply generated by the email. Not just the completion, but the whole thing. And then I can change or not change. But so this is something that we have a project trying to do this, that answers emails, whether it's about like financial entities or schedule a meeting or you name it, and goes to the source of reference to get like, is this trade, how is it, whatever questions come on this email, generates the whole proposed, reply. And those types of things, I like end-to-end products, end-to-end kind of.
And you want to do that in-house because you have specific corporate knowledge and style and needs?
It's build versus buy. That's a great question.
When Tony talks about that stage of scaling up, I don't mind if it's like a company or not. What I think is that is the pushing the envelope to what we need, that I think we can do it in-house. And then how does this become status quo?
Build versus buy is important because if you can't build it in-house at JPMorgan, no other bank can because you're the leader.
They are the king. They are the king.
I don't know if I'm the leader.
And we do have a question at the front here. Can I get the microphone up the front?
I do think about this. This is just a thought. This is just a thought. AI, one of the things it can do really well is, code generation, right? So, I think pre-AI, it was the land of packaged applications. Post-AI, for firms that have capability like JPMorgan, I think it opens much more the aperture of customized apps. And so you see this in the public stock market. You see this in the public stock market in that the application software companies are not doing as well as the compute and the hardware stack. And why is that? Because there is a moniker in Silicon Valley. It's like, are you just a wrapper on an AI? And it really goes to this notion of packaged app value, of a thinning of the app layer, and opening up the capability for anyone to build apps on your own corpus of data. And so, like people like JPMorgan, if they want to build customized apps after app, maybe they build your new email app that sits on your own corpus of data, and you have the that kind of changes the balance of power. Like, do I need a packaged vendor to bring this to me, or can I just build it myself? And I think this does raise these questions, and then you see that people are still trying to figure out, where are we here? Has the value shifted?
Question from Simon.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to build on what you've just been saying and look at the impact of agentic AI on the banking fundamental business model of net interest margin. And if you think that banking business model is based on consumer apathy, opacity, and transactional friction, when you have agents who will get you the right type of product that suits you, what's the role of the bank?
It's a good question, but I tell you something. This lets me also say something. When I joined JPMorgan, one way or another, after many years in academia and with robotics, I was very arrogant about, hey, I could do it all. I was. After these years, I realized how much these humans know. They know a lot about, in fact, the details. I mean, the science is in the details. I mean, from options to interest rates to really the customers to mergers and acquisitions, everything. It's a lot of knowledge that these people have. And that's why we send them to school. I mean, and that's why people go to school, do MBAs, have a career. So this is not a career in medicine, it's not a career in robotics, it's a career in that business. So I think the challenge will always be about how do we integrate these humans and the AI. Because I don't think the AI, even if the internet is full of information and the LLMs know surgeon and know a lot, there is this component that the humans bring to the financial industry. I mean, maybe the execution is going to be all much more automated. But one way or another, there is not only the human aspect, but also the fact that they have history, they remember, they correlate in a level that I don't think, AI could become a CEO one day. But again, it's a journey. And these humans will always be needed because of these sharp kind of reasoning. And I mean, again, once some of the people at JPMorgan asked me, is AI going to take my job, like really at the leadership? And I said, I hope it doesn't. I hope it becomes your assistant, AI becomes your assistant, someone you trust, but we humans are also not in the business of saying, oh, you don't know something, I don't need you. I mean, you'll be needed somewhere. I don't know. So, but I do believe that we don't need a lot of the manual work that we do. That's for sure. But, advice, all sorts of understanding conditions of life of someone. I mean, it's life we're talking about. People have children, people send children to college, people buy houses, people have to move because of their families, the people get sick so there is a life there. And to put all into this picture is more complicated than what we think, I think. But again, the future will prove me wrong or right, or you wrong or right.
Are you looking, Tony, for companies that can fully automate, or is getting 90% automation of a lot of process good enough for you to consider that AI application actually works and is changing an industry?
I think, if we're talking about, you're talking about apps, applications, which is where, it's an interesting, if you, again, go back to that stack, there are very few companies at the bottom of the stack, actually, few in number. It's few in number because the capital requirements are massive. To play that game, it's billions and billions, if not tens of billions of dollars. And so the investable set is small. At the top of the stack, it's capital efficient theoretically, but but it's also it could be radically commoditized, and there are thousands and thousands of companies now being created at the top of the stack. And so the barrier to entry is nil. But the barrier to entry at the bottom of the stack is billions and billions of dollars and thousands of engineers. And so you have a very different game. But obviously, discerning who up there, because there will be breakthrough companies. There will be, no doubt, breakthrough companies. But it's very difficult to discern right now. I think it's very difficult to discern. Automation, agentic, all these things, it's kind of doesn't matter. Like there's the tech, which is increasingly perceived to have shifted to the LLM. There is a UI workflow thing. Maybe there's domain-specific data, and then there's distribution. And these are all elements that factor into a business, especially an application company. And ideally, would have elements of all of that. But there are so many companies competing at this layer. It is very difficult to make that distinction right now.
We got time for one more question. Gentleman in the third row here. Sorry, just for ease of microphone access.
So a question for you, Tony. All this talk about AGI and how you're going to get there, is that a distraction?
No.
Is that really necessary, important?
is absolutely important. Actually, I don't know if Stuart is here. Russell, we had dinner last night. We were talking about AGI, and so I think as an investor, this is my perception. This is my again. This is a philosophy, if you will. On one hand, there is what we call, let's call it the tip of the spear, and at the tip of the spear, it is this path to AGI. This is the North Star, and so that also sets kind of an undertone as to what you need to believe. So it sets the goalpost in which one is ascribing to get to achieve. Let's say 2030, we need to get to AGI. And as a result of that, there are certain companies that are playing in the tip of the spear that are spending tens of billions, if not hundreds of billions of dollars each to achieve this goal. So on one hand, that is going on. And we all know who those companies are. And that creates then a trickle, like Reaganomics, right? Trickle down economics, right? So as long as they are along this path, the path to AGI, and they're investing in it, then it trickles down, right? It trickles down. So that is absolutely critical. If you believe AGI does not happen, or we hit a wall, well, that kind of starts to break this thesis that between now and X, 2030, 2035, or whatever it's going to be, maybe that we can't keep investing at that rate because we don't believe that we start plateauing or hitting limits.
So you lose AGI hopes and you hit an AI winter.
Then that trickles all the way down.
Yeah, no, but if you lose the hope for AGI, an AI winter could set in.
Oh, it could be. It could be. Yeah, I'm just trying to give you. But then there's the other thing called the real world. And so, but no, it's very important. The AGI investment is very important. But then there's the real world, which is, let's call it, everyone in this room. Yeah. The use case, deployment, and productionization of, let's call it, narrow, domain-specific, productivity, efficiency AIs, agentic systems, whatever, that will then be instantiated in companies around the world. And that could continue regardless, even if we start to plateau in certain AGI. I'm just saying that there is a overarching strategic umbrella that is driving. It does filter down. On the other hand, there's a big disconnect between the leading edge research and what they're working on and what we will be deploying in the next 5 years.
Manuela, chance for last remarks. This clock is slightly wrong, so we're almost out of time.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
So I think that somehow I've always been more interested on instead of the G on the AGI, the domain specific. Now, I don't think I know anything about so many things in the world, and I'm very special purpose. Though I can do all the general purpose things like eat, drink, play squash, talk with someone. So I have a general purpose ability, but then I am very special purpose in the productivity level. So one way or another, I think AI will help a lot at this special purpose level. And I'm happy with Gen AI as it is now to give me the general kind of knowledge. So I love my surgeon example. I love the French cuisine. No matter how much I try, that thing, as of now, maybe more effectively in the future, is providing me with all the background I need to function or to think that I'm a regular human. But it might not know all the specifics that I need for the domain-specific knowledge. So I think that this AI will be this layer followed by this depth that eventually needs to have the involvement of the specific domains. Like you were explaining, the agent that knows agriculture, that knows medicine, that knows climate, that knows, and eventually that. But those aspects we have to benefit from this general thing. But I don't think the general thing will be this superhuman that knows everything about everything. That I have a hard time understanding how will that happen.
I'm with you on that one. Manuela, Tony, thank you so much for your insights. We really appreciate it.